Hello and welcome to the Metapod podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I'm Jake, that's Sean. Sean, how are you doing this lovely weekend?
I'm good. I'm good. I played a lot of cards, lots of different card games, but played Pokemon this morning.
hmm
I've committed. I'm not one to commit to like meta decks usually, but I've just committed to Gardevoir because I'm like, I need to convince myself that I am not washed up, that I am still capable of being a good player. So I'm just committing to Gardevoir, and so
hmm
I went 3-1 today at locals, so that was good. It was a
Okay.
little reassurance that like I just played it as the only deck for a
I've
week
still
now.
got it.
Yeah, I played it
Yeah.
for a week, the only deck, and the first couple of like the first day or two was a little rough, and I've seen myself maybe get better at the deck, so that's good
hmm
to know. So that's how
It's
my weekend has been.
definitely it's definitely for someone maybe like me who played a lot of Gardevoir pre-rotation, with the curlier refinements and stuff, and now is looking at it more in this new 60 of what Brent Tonneson presented. They're two completely different decks. Like
Yeah, they're very different.
they're very different ways of thinking and playing, I think. So it's definitely nice to get some practice and try it out, and get some stuff going. I'm not fully I have the Gardevoir post rotation kind of, but for all the video version of the
Oh,
podcast, I have some proxies in my deck. I have a fairy type Ralts for anyone who knows what fairy types are.
yeah, I was about to say you're just you're kind of just telling Pokemon, hey, bring back Fairy type.
Yeah, I have some fairy type Ralts in there. But
Yeah.
Milwaukee is currently going on as we're talking about right now. Some of the good decks that are going on. We'll talk about like deck distribution and whatnot. But I will say, Sean, uh, just wanted to tell you this because you said that you did move off of the Sylveon stuff,
Uh-huh.
moving into Gardevoir. I will say, Ian Robb. I don't know if you've been watching Milwaukee. Ian Robb's playing Sylveon
Okay.
box, and he was on stream one round. So if you wanna watch that, check the VODs and stuff like that. And he made day 2,
Yep.
I believe. Did he make day 2? I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't be surprised. Like Sylveon it's a really good deck. Personally, I have been hurt too much by my opponent having exactly what they need after an Iono to 2 plus an Angelite, and then they get
Mhm.
everything set back up again in one turn, and I'm like, I don't like that. That was a bad feeling for me when it happened 4 or 5 times in a row. So I was like, okay.
Uh, Understandable in a sense, but Sean, we've got a bunch of different topics today. There's some big news. I posted some of the news in our official Discord server, link in the description or show notes if you want to join. But there's a good amount of stuff that came out that a lot of people are talking about, which was kind of weird on the start of May in terms of the news train. But Sean, what are we talking about first?
Well, let's put one thing out of the way quickly. We hadn't covered it the last couple of weeks because we took a week off, and last week we did other stuff. But for any of you who are interested in the variety of different ogre pawns that you can play, Ogre Pony EXs specifically, there will be a premium collection coming out on June 13th for $50. That premium collection is a little different than the first one. The first one featured the um, the
Teal
grass
Mask.
type, the teal mask ogre pawn. This one instead
hmm
is going to feature the Hearthstone and Wellspring mask ogre pawn, the water and fire types respectively. But you know, they do come with cool stamps. It looks like you'll get a variety of different packs if you can find them in store. Um,
hmm
just sort of a note there. Expect this product coming in the next maybe I think month, a little over a month. It'll be out. So
Yeah, definitely someone if you are a promo fanatic, you'll want these because, as Sean said, they're not just straight up reprints. They have the Twilight Masquerade stamp on those. You also get a jumbo card in there as well for any of the jumbo card collectors, I will say. And it looks like it includes 10 booster packs. So 10 booster packs of varying sets coming for $50. Couple promos and a jumbo card. Honestly, not a terrible price, right? 10 packs, averaging like $5 a pack, and you get some promos and change in there.
Yeah, yeah, it's very like, you get what you really want, which is packs and promos, none of this like weird
Mhm.
filler stuff that don't get me wrong, I like a pin, I like a coin sometimes, but the Iona's Belly Bolt one that came out that had all the like little acrylic standee figure things. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of thing that does it for me, so I like this. This is straightforward.
It's straightforward. It's good, just like what we give you on this podcast, some would say. But
But yeah,
um,
to the big news though, Jake. What was the
yeah.
big exciting news that everybody's talking about?
The big news is that Pokemon have officially revealed Black Bolt and White Flare. Some sets coming out in June 6th in Japan. And this set is going to feature all 156 Unova Pokemon. It's a very, very neat little set. And we got some reveals as well on some cards. But there's going to be another interesting part to this. This is a addition to the regular 7-card booster packs that Black Hole and White Flare will have. We'll also see the release of deluxe packs for a little bit more, I think, in terms of price. And each one will contain the contents of 5 booster packs, but will come with a guaranteed illustration rare. So it sounds like these deluxe packs are basically just like almost like a booster bundle size
Yep.
in a sense. They're basically a Japanese version of a booster bundle, and you're guaranteed an illustration rare in there. They are going to be retailing for 1450 yen, which in terms of USD is about $10. So getting basically 7 packs for $10 and you get a guaranteed illustration rare.
That's pretty good.
That's honestly a pretty yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they, at least in Japan, how they package them, because like
Yeah.
the packs themselves will probably come in the I don't know actually. Do you think this will be in the like the high class pack set boxes where you get like 10 packs, or do you think it'll come in like the regular set boxes where there's like two different boxes you can collect, either the Reshiram or the Zekrom box?
So I think that this is a, like, regular set
Okay.
in this. I think Black Bolt and White Flare don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they're just regular sets. They're not holiday type sets, but, I would expect it to be like the regular booster boxes, but these deluxe packs I mean, looking at the pack promo images that have been posted, right? There's 2 different sets of Black Bolt and White Flare kinds of packs. One with like black borders for
That's the 7 card set.
uh yeah, that's the normal typical regular main set stuff. But then you have the other packs, right? You have the other pack which is the deluxe pack version. So that one mm, I wonder if these will just be loose packs, right? Because
That's
I wanted to say, like, they'll maybe be in high class boxes like, Shiny Treasure EX and, all those other ones that we've gotten, but another part of me is like, "No, I wonder if these will just be, like, individual."
that was my thought too. Is I was like, man, like, would you sell these in like a separate entire box where you get, like you said, a high class box, or are they part of like blister promos, or like, who knows? Like Japan has their own thing too, so like I don't exactly know how they're gonna put all these out, but it'll be interesting to
It's weird.
see.
Yeah, because I think this is different than what they typically do. This is definitely different than
Oh
what
yeah.
they typically do for releases of sets. And this set as well, in general, both Black Bolt and White Flare, is going to be even more interesting because it was confirmed that not only all 156 Unova Pokemon will have a card in this set, they all will also have either an illustration rare or a special illustration rare
Yeah.
in the set. So So if you want to talk about the premier set for illustration rares, it's gonna be this one, and we've already seen images of 9 of them, the Unova starters of Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott, right, in their respected evolutions. Um, and this set's gonna be insane, Sean.
Yeah.
156 at least, right? 156 at least,
Illustration
uh
rares.
illustration rares. Then there's special illustration rares, and you gotta think, or actually, are
Well, it'll be
the
a combo, 156 illustration or special illustration. So like the EXs
yeah,
might have specials,
I
technically.
was gonna say because looking at the Unova starters that we got, right? The Snivy and the Servine are just regular illustration rarities on the card
Yeah.
images, but then the Superior is a special illustration rare. So
Yeah.
it's probably one could think like you're saying, like the Superior is only getting a special illustration rare
Yeah.
in this set. So that even adds more value to the deluxe packs, right? Because in the deluxe packs, you've got a pretty good shot at not repeating, right?
Yeah.
Like if you buy like 10 of these deluxe packs, you've got a pretty good chance of not repeating the illustration rare that you get in there because there's 156 different ones, which is crazy. And some people may think like, oh, that's whatever, but these sets are small. Like this set is going to be huge, I feel like,
Yeah.
in terms of Japanese sets.
It's definitely going to be a big set, I think, to collect. We have people in our Discord talking about master. This is like a set they want to get the master collection of. Um,
Yeah.
and I think especially just because like you don't even have to get like every version of every card. This could be like a fun set to try to like just get the illustration rare master where you get like every
Yeah.
card in the set as it, and that'd be a cool little binder.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you'd have a Pokédex collection, right? A Unova Pokédex
yep.
collection because all of the Unova Pokemon are getting these cards. So I mean, it's it's pretty doggone cool. I was super excited to see this.
I will say that we will be getting our version of this set on July 18th. We
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. I don't think we know what the name of it is going to be, but I'm thinking about it kind of like remember like 151, that set?
Yeah.
We're gonna get our version of 151, but for of a Pokemon. Now, I think the
Mhm.
big question now, seeing all of this, is will our set have every illustration rare as well in the set?
That's an interesting question. I think because it's a main set, yes. We have seen in the past, like special like tag team all-stars,
Hmm.
for example. Tag team all-stars has numerous different full art trainers that were never released in America. I'm talking like the Male Welder, Belelba, Bryson Man, Hapu, stuff like that. The Greens Explorer, Greens,
Yeah.
Red, and Blue, those 3 characters from the Adventures series, they were never put out in America. So, I think some people may be afraid in the West that we would not see all 156 in the set, but I feel like because this is a main set, I feel like we'll get it, right?
Hmm.
Because 151, not
Well,
all
151
Pokemon
was a.
in
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
well, that was a special set, yeah,
Yeah, for
right?
us.
But I didn't we get all of the cards from 151?
I
I feel like
don't.
we did.
I assume so. I don't know for sure. Like Tag All Stars is one of the last sets I can remember where we explicitly did not get every card. The only other one
Yeah.
being I think Cosmic Eclipse. There's that promo that you got, the
Yeah,
Japanese promo.
Lily Clefairy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But like that's a little different because it's a promo. Like we constantly don't get promos, but things that are in packs. It's been a
Mhm.
long time since we have just not gotten something that was the art that was in a pack. Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they do it because a special set, but a special set that contains at least 312 plus different cards will be crazy. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how many cards are even in Prismatic? Because there's quite a few, but I don't think there's over 300 unique arts in Prismatic, right? I can't
I'm
imagine.
trying to look at Pokélector. I feel like Pokélector is probably like the best thing to see because they have card numbers on them. There were 180 unique cards in Prismatic Evolutions, including like all the alternate arts and stuff.
Yeah, so this if we do get all of the cards in this, our specialty set will contain, assuming that there's a non-illustration rare version of everything, will contain at
Yeah.
least 312 cards
Yeah.
minimum.
That's
And like
true. Yeah.
that's crazy.
I'd be really curious if there were only illustration rares for specific Pokemon. So, like, you talk about the legendary Pokemon, not Reshiram and Zekrom, because they're the face of the packs. But I'm talking like Thundurus, Tornadus,
Like if they don't do a
Landorus.
normal one.
Yeah, they don't do a normal regular card for it. They just do like illustration rares. I don't know if there's really ever been cards that have gotten illustration rares in like a similar rarity. I
Mhm.
mean, they do have from sets like gold cards that are previous or
Yeah.
from previous sets you can't get like a normal version of it. So that's a little different though, I think. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really exciting, and the regular cards as well. They're gonna see the return of the horizontal hollow pattern that was used in the old school black and white cards. So this is gonna be a really cool nostalgic set, in my opinion. And I wonder if this set is just gonna be only Unova Pokemon, right?
I would
Because if you think about
assume
an
so.
like, not only because all 156 Pokemon are going to have a card, but if you think about, like, the old games, right? Unova or Black and White was so cool for a lot of people because it forced you to use new Pokemon because there was no old Pokemon. Did
Oh,
not
interesting.
repeat Pokemon. Yeah, in the game, you did not see a repeated Pokemon until, like, either the very end of the game or, like, post-game. Um,
Oh.
so throughout the whole game, you're like using brand new Pokemon that you've never seen before or never you don't know their typings, you don't know what possible moves they have, things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, my gut says this will only be Unova Pokemon just because, even for a Japanese set, 156 unique Pokemon is, not small. It's actually a bit large even for a Japanese regular set.
Yeah, it's quite a
So,
massive set coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another piece of information though that we got, which is not only is this set all Unova all the time, there's a few other cards revealed. We're not really going to get into like the new cards like for review purposes yet, but um, we will be getting new rarities as a part of this set on top of the special illustration rares called BWR rares.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like black white rarity, maybe. I assume that's what that means. Um,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm reading the article now. Presumably stands for black and white rare. Um, but yeah, there'll be a Zekrom and a Reshiram that is like this all white and all black sort of crazy rarity with texture. Um, but also the symbols for the energy on the card designs that I'm looking at now also don't really have much color to them. They're also kind of
Mm-mm.
like a very small holographic tint, yeah, if anything. But
This is very reminiscent of the old school,
yeah.
Reshiram and Zekroms that came out during the black and white era. If you remember from Celebrations, right, they had reprints of the Reshiram and Zekrom in Celebrations. Those cards are highly beloved because they were the first ever, like, full arts in the Pokemon trading card game, those 2 cards. So to kind of have this like new rarity, this black and white rarity of this kind of blacked out or whited out hollow pattern is really cool, and I think is a kind of a nod to that era in a sense where it's like we're kind of doing it again, but we're changing it up a little bit
Mhm.
in that sort of sense, and I really love it. I think it's gonna be cool, but this is also gonna be super hard to pull.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll probably be easier to pull in English, is my guess. Um,
Mhm.
you know, because I don't know how many boxes you'll have to go through in Japanese to get these, but we might see more of them in English than we do in Japanese. I did want to call out though,
Yeah.
Jake, the promo Victini that they're going to be distributing as part of like some of the tournaments early on. Instead of being all black or all white, as per Victini being a fire type Pokemon, it's all red. So it's like the same style, but it's just so weird to see an all red Pokemon card.
I know, it's gonna be really cool, and, this is gonna be a promo that's given out to winners during a, battle tournament where you can only use booster packs of Black Bolt and White Flare, and I think it's probably some similar to, like, a pre-release format
Hmm.
in a sense, or like a draft format, right? If you're big in, like, Magic the Gathering and stuff. This is probably just like a draft tournament style, which I feel like we don't hear about a lot of times in these tournaments. But yeah, a winner will get a Victini. No news on how many will come out or how long these tournaments will go on and stuff like that. But also, if you have a I think you might be able to do this if you have a Japanese address, but from June 14th to August 31st, players can apply to a lottery to win the Victini promo. 2,000 people will be selected. All you have to do, you're asked to hold a black, bold, and white flare deck building activity at home and report their experience to Pokemon.
This is I will say this is my tinfoil hat a bit
Okay.
of it's interesting that they are using this set to promote a deck building using only one set sort of build in battle style. Like you were saying, we have
Yeah.
pre-releases, but the way that Pokemon works, it's really difficult to do sealed tournaments in Pokemon because of the evolution lines.
Mhm.
It just makes it very difficult because like what are the odds that you pull all the stages of the evolution line that you need, yada yada. Um, I'll be interested to see if maybe these jumbo packs, these like 35 card fat packs, if maybe these are going to be used for this, and that if you get maybe four of those, the odds of you, and if they theoretically they could seed the packs such that you get full evolution lines inside of them. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I know that Magic with draft for many years they seeded the pack such that you would always get like two of this color, two of that color, two of this color, right? And so it made when you're drafting like there's always some even amount of colors between all the people drafting.
Yeah,
Um,
like, it wouldn't be in Magic, they wouldn't have, like, just loose booster packs right from boxes that haven't fully sold yet at local shops. I'm pretty sure they would have, like, specific draft product that you
well,
would buy and use for it, right?
so for most of Magic's history, there's no such thing as a specific draft product. All product was draft product.
Oh.
So, meaning every pack was designed knowing that people were going to do draft or sealed. So,
Oh, maybe
with
that's what I was thinking of
for
then.
many, and then they sort of went away, and then they had draft boosters and set boosters, and then they got rid of that. Now there are play boosters. Which, point being though, they do design all of their packs now somewhat less so than before, but somewhat to be draftable, so that you open
Mhm.
them, and that there's like not only is there a rarity curve, but there's also a color curve, meaning like you get a certain amount of each color as to build Magic decks. My point
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is interesting because at least in Japanese, they're considering sort of tweaking their pack design and how they seed their packs to be functional for sealed and draft. Because I don't know if you or anyone listening has ever tried draft or sealed for Pokemon. Most times, you just kind of have to
Yeah,
resort to
I do it in pre-releases all the time. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you do draft.
But it's not like a I mean, it's not a true draft because you get the pre-release pack
Well,
of, like, preset stuff, but, like, That's basic. I mean, it's close. It's close to being the same.
Well, at least with the pre-release kit, right? You get like a pre-constructed sort of semi deck, right?
Yeah.
But if you try to do just like 4 packs or 5 packs straight up, even if they're all from the same set, you can almost never make a deck because unless you do something like mutant rules, where you can like evolve
Mhm.
Pokemon of the same type but different names, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So you have to do those rules, or else the mechanics of Pokemon just don't work. And that's the one thing that I think has held Pokemon back from that kind of experience for a long time. My point is, it's a very long-winded way of saying I'll be interested to see if Japan at least is testing out changing their pack contents to make it more draftable, more sealed, openable. I don't know. I think that would be really interesting.
It's gonna be cool to see how this evolves over time, and as we get more and more information and when the set comes out, it'll be pretty cool. But I, for one, am super excited about this. I see a new Sao Sao card in some of the reveals as well for the binder. 2 new Sao Sao, 3 new Sao Sao. Oh my gosh. I'm on the moon right now.
But Jake, moving on from the news, we are going to talk a little bit about just, what's sort of doing well. It's not really that much different than what we talked about last week, but
Mhm.
um, I just want to set the stage for Milwaukee, which is going on right now. We don't know the results, the outcome yet, because of when we're recording this. But I wanted to throw out there 3 decks that are not really being played for various reasons. They're not necessarily the best deck in the format, but that I think are maybe being underplayed given how strong they could be in this format. So, Jake, I'm just looking at deck analysis for day 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Um, just giving folks a quick overview. Day 1 at Milwaukee, it was Dragapult leading the way at 16%. Gardevoir now, though, at 12%, which I think is higher than we've seen before. So everybody finally getting onto the Gardevoir train. Um, and then we have the Joltik box sort of catapulting into third on day 1, which we hadn't really seen it at all before like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And then rounding everything out is like basically your one-hit KO decks of Goldengo and Raging Bolt in
Mhm.
some various form or fashion. But Jake,
Yes, so the
yeah, go ahead.
the big news, as you were saying, is Gardevoir moving up, and I think that this is probably somewhat projected, in a sense, especially after, oh my gosh, what's his name? One with Brent Tonnison's exact 60, right? Just the other week, I'm trying to quickly figure out his name. Johan.
Mhm.
Johan winning Sevilla with his exact 60, kind of cementing that, it's not just Brent Tonneson being an absolutely cracked player, one of the best players in the world, because he is, right? But with another player winning with the exact set of 60 cards, proves as well that it's just a really good deck, right? It's a really well constructed deck that if you know how to pilot, you will be pretty successful with it. Like you'll have a pretty good time. So a lot of people jumping on that train in the tournament, right? I think Gardevoir was sitting at like 4 or 5 or something, or even
Yeah.
farther than that just a couple weeks ago in like Atlanta or the whatever the last
US
NA
regional.
format was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of cool to see, I think, especially for Gardevoir, and we'll see. I know that Brent Tonneson at least was, I think it was 9-1-1 to start Milwaukee after round 11, so he's at least 1 win away from, I think, locking in top cut for
Yeah.
the tournament. Just another great, incredible run, even if he doesn't, or even if it takes him a little bit longer to the stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, the Joltik box also moving up is kind of cool as well, right? We've
That's a
seen
cool deck.
a little bit of chatter. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of chatter on that.
Yeah, I played against it a few times this weekend. A few people brought it. It looks like a lot of fun. You get that Joltik going early. You power up Iron Hands basically, and a little bit of Pikachu EX, and that's your 2 main attackers. And you're just like, if your opponent is playing like, say they're playing Dragapult or Gardevoir, they're probably playing a little bit slower. Iron Hands, in theory, like if everything goes well for you and they maybe don't hit their rare candy on the following turn, that Iron Hands could theoretically take 4 prizes, just a single Iron Hands. And then all you need is, the one Pikachu EX to come in and take the last 2. But,
Mhm.
and so in day 2 of Milwaukee right now, Joltik Box sort of jumping up to like 16% of the meta share just behind Dragapult. So I think whoever's choosing to play that, it's doing really well. It seems like it does pretty well into the top decks of the format. So pretty good choice there. I don't know. It's so top tables wise though, really the Joltik Box is the only newcomer.
Mhm.
But looking at all of this day 1 and day 2, I just wanted to talk about like what are 3 decks that go through my head that are maybe, I don't know if they're like great into this matchup, but like they are decks that maybe you should consider given how popular each of these decks are. The first one I wanted to talk about, Jake, I don't know if you've played against this or seen much of this Hydragon EX.
I have played a little bit of it pre-rotation and pre-journey together, but not since.
Okay, so I do have a list pulled up here just for reference, but I have a friend who's been running it for months now, and I just have the reference pulled up on screen. But generally speaking, I wanted to talk about why I think this deck is so strong in this format. Pre-rotation, we did have Manaphy. Post-rotation, there is no such thing. Until Destined Rivals comes out with Shaman, we have no way to like stop damage on the bench. So Hydreigon, for those of you who don't know, it's a dark type Pokemon, which is good into Gardevoir because you're going to hit for weakness. It's 330 HP Terra, which means it can't be sniped on the bench, and it's just big. And it's got 2 really relevant attacks. The first attack, Crashing Headbutt for 200, dark and a colorless. You do 200, and you discard the top 3 of your opponent's deck, which is also really annoying.
Mhm.
So, and then the second attack, Obsidian, it's got a weird, energy cost. It's psychic, dark, metal, and colorless. But if you get this attack off late in the game, you do 130 to the active and then 130 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So also just like wildly annoying. And pretty easy actually to like just win the game off of that attack basically. So but Jake, I just wanted to open the floor to you now and just like I want your thoughts. You've played against it a little bit. Like, do you agree with me that this is maybe like an underplayed, interesting option in the format, or not?
It's definitely underplayed, but I think that it's really interesting, right? Because Crashing Headbutt, as you said, like as more decks like Gardevoir become more popular that are weak to dark types, utilizing something like Crashing Headbutt is really, really good for not only hitting that weakness, right, and being able to one hit a Gardevoir because Obsidian can't, um, but also maybe milling important resources is always, really, really nice in a lot of situations. Obsidian is a cool attack, right? Because with different little bodies and no Manaphy, like you said, no bench barrier protection until the next set. Obsidian Flame kind of runs around, takes out Noctowls, takes out Monkey Dories, right, which are running all over the format right now. And other maybe smaller Pokemon on the field, people running Budu, you can take that out.
And
Charizard
Rotons.
decks having, yeah, Fan Rodons, Charizards having Charmanders, even Gardevoirs having, Ralts on the field. You have plenty of options with 130 to be able to take a slew of different knockouts on the field with that. The hardest part is just powering that up,
Yep.
especially because you don't have really any sort of energy acceleration right in this. So I feel like a lot of times what's your energy acceleration in this deck
There's a
besides the
few.
one of Crispin?
So
There's the one of Crispin.
I wanted to mention this list as a reference. I actually don't think this
Yeah.
is the right Gardevoir Hydreigon list. So
Okay.
in what I've seen that seems to do really well because I get beat by it every single time. Every single time is they run Crispin, so that's one way to get a couple of those funky energy. That's great. They also have Neo Upper Energy, which acts as energy
Hmm.
acceleration, right? Like you just 2 energy of any color on 1 attach. The other thing that they also run is Janine's Secret Arts. Do you know this
Oh,
supporter?
okay. Yeah, Janine's secret art to accelerate a dark energy, poison both actives.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean,
Or,
with the
well,
poison,
poison you if you're in the active.
yeah, I mean, look, that's the poison part doesn't honestly really matter, but you get to accelerate dark energy with it from the deck, I believe.
Yes,
So
yeah.
they don't even have to be enhanced. So it acts as like a secondary Crispin only for dark Pokemon and dark energy. So you can usually run a combination of Crispin, Janines, and Neo, plus things like counter gain if you expect to have maybe your opponent take the first knockout to really get you into that Obsidian attack late. But the other card that's not in this list that I wanted to call out is seeing my friend run it with N Zorark.
Okay.
So you can use the attack for N Zorark because you play the Reshiram in the deck.
Mhm.
And you just get to draw a lot of cards because you run like maybe a 2-2 line. And so you get to discard things that you no longer need. You get to draw in. That'll help you find your rare candies, your Hydrogons, whatever it might be. Um, so, you don't have to run it with the Pidgeot line. In fact, I might venture to say that that's probably not the most optimal build anymore. Because with Pidgeot, you got to prioritize your rare candies, and that's complicated. But if you go the Zoroark route, you'll get more draw, just raw draw. And you can just focus on the Hydrogons.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just situationally, like, I think it cooks Gardevoir. Having played Gardevoir, like the only chance I had, and I lost today against it. That was my one loss. The only chance I had was like playing Mew EX and copying Obsidian to take 4 prizes in one turn. But I was still 1 prize short. They still got me with the Zoroark Reshiram combo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because the only times that I lost to Hydreigon as Gardevoir were when I just whiffed.
No, I mean,
And I just, like, whiffed a Gardevoir evolution.
it's the also I will say the milling of the top 3 cards can be very consequential at times. It's a little
Mhm.
random. You never know, but um, I don't know. I've played enough against it now, and maybe it's just me, but at our locals, man, like the 2 people playing Hydreigon, I think both went either 3-1 or 2-2, and they beat me, and I went 3-1. So like the top decks basically for our locals today were Hydreigon, Gardevoir.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think there's something here. That's what I wanted to mention. I think there's something there.
It's definitely an interesting idea, and if you expect a lot of Gardevoir, I can agree, like, and see kinda how what you're saying of why you would want to run this deck, right? Because of that dark weakness is so nice, and the Obsidian spread is just really, really good. Um, but definitely the support Pokemon is one of conversation because I've really enjoyed seeing the Dunsparce decks
Oh
lately,
yeah.
right? With the runaway draw ability, being able to put those guys back in deck and then draw cards after that, and kind of having this like infinite ability to draw cards on that cycle. But as you're talking about, like Zoroark EX is an interesting option as well, because not only do you already have dark energies that you can accelerate to, but the trade ability is just so good, right? We saw it in that Henry Chow's win with Gardevoir, right? A pair that you probably wouldn't have expected
No,
before.
that's true. I would not have expected that before.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's like my first of like the weird ones. But Jake, I, you don't have to agree with this, but what was the second deck that I put up there? Can you walk us through what it was? And I don't know, try to figure out why I think this is good.
There's a pile of 60 cards that Sean has sent me in this Greninja Blaziken Zoroark deck. Right? Just take some of your favorite Pokemon and smash them together in a deck. But I do feel like this is very, very cool. You talk about a deck with Greninja with the rise of Joltik Box, right? Being able to have Shinobi Blade and hit for weakness and find any card. within your deck, right? You have Monkey Dory in here to be able to hit specific numbers, get around something like the Pikachu's Resolute Heart ability. You're running a Precious Trolley deck, which is so cool, right in here. Blaziken, I really think Blaziken is cool because it accelerates energies. I think there was a Blaziken that actually did decently well in the Champions League stream
Yep.
this past weekend I saw. So Blaziken, just a really nice energy acceleration ability, and Zorark, right? We talked about it earlier. Just great, great stuff for drawing cards in here.
Yeah, and like
The
it
one
said,
thing,
you have the Ends Reshiram as well, so the Enzorark can even attack if needed.
mhm. The one thing that I will say though is I wish there was Jakes in this deck or
Oh, Jacques,
Jocks
yeah.
Jocks in this deck. I've really liked seeing a lot of the different lists in the format kind of evolving more into that as Budu has become or has stayed prevalent, right? A pretty dependable way a lot of times to get your evolutions when the game is forced to be slow. Because
Yep.
this list really leans on the rare candy, right? For your
Yeah.
Greninja line, you only have one Frogadier. For your Blaziken line, you only have one Combuskin. So you better hope you have them. And you better hope that you utilize them at the right time. But a Jock Jock could be really nice for having that consistency for your evolutions, especially for like Enzorark, right?
Yep.
Um,
No,
so I think this list is cool,
I fully
but it's
agree. I
definitely a
think
box.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's like well, because you're like the Zoroark is like a draw engine. It can be an
Hmm.
attacker, and you're gonna hit Guardy for weakness. To your point with the Greninja, you can hit all of the like Joltik box stuff for weakness, which is actually kind of dope. And I think this list was actually I pulled it from a tournament before Joltik box was really a thing. So in
Hmm.
some ways, it gets even better. Um, Blaziken
And
just
with the
being
energy acceleration,
yeah,
being able to use Mirage Barrage for 120 to two different Pokemon can be really, really nice. We talked about previously in the Hydragon list how there's no bench barrier,
yeah.
right? Same thing applies with the Greninja, especially when you have energy acceleration from Seething Spirit, Blaziken EX.
Yeah. So any of y'all looking for like this list on Limitless, if you find it, I would agree. I think Jacques could be a very good inclusion here because look, even if you don't have everything you need, just grab two Enzorark that you can throw down with the Zaruas you grabbed, and that just draws you more cards every turn, even if you're item locked. It don't matter.
It's really interesting because, like, you're playing a pretty heavy Arven build, which we've seen Arven kind of fall off a little bit in the format because of Budus and thus the evolution of stuff like Jock is.
Yeah. I
Jock.
think it's Jacques. Yeah.
Um, yeah, Jock. So, very dependent on like Precious Trolley and TM evolution, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
you better hope you don't get buttered, because then life gets a little bit difficult if you going second or going first, right? If you don't have Precious Trolley naturally in hand.
Yeah. You're having a bad day if you go first
Yeah,
and don't open the trolley. You're cooked. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
I'm looking at this list and I'm like, two Buddy Buddy Poppins, one Nest Ball, and four Ultra Ball. Bro, you're not gonna have a hand after turn one if you draw these Ultra Balls.
I would love maybe to see like -1 rare candy and M maybe, like, some sort of, like, other consistency card for it, because like, rare candy is really important, don't get me wrong, but I think with all the Budu running around in the format right now, it's just, like, rare candies are so tough, at this point, and I think you need a little bit of a dependable way to get to these, like, all-important evolutions, that you're slotting what is it, 7 cards for, these,
Yeah.
stage 2 evolution lines?
I mean I could also see you could either play Jock or you could play the new Cyrano supporter that lets you get three EXs.
Oh, yeah, you could do that too. Yeah.
So it
The
just
EXs would
depends.
be nice for Enzorark,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like they both get you, multiple Enzorark. The Cyrano will get you also maybe the Blazing, and the only downside is you don't get to grab your Frogadiers or Combuskins. But like, you know, whatever.
If you TM Evo
Right.
previously, right, then it doesn't matter.
See, that's the big brain. Going second, TM Evo, say, hey, item lock me, I don't care. Play Cyrano, then you have all of your Sage 2s and a Zoroark out, and your opponent's cooked. So
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Or
the way to go.
you'll at least have a fair game after that. Both players have set up.
I think the last one is one that we previously talked about. It was doing really well in Japan, and for probably some good reasons, but like for a variety of reasons, it just has not seen really any success in the West. And that is the like Waldex archetype.
Hmm.
Melodic, Cornerstone, Ogre Pond, Farigiraf, and Mimikyu, basically. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the idea here is that you're putting Pokemon up that for one reason or another, your opponent cannot do damage to them. So the Farigiraf basically stops all EX Pokemon doing damage to it. Milotic,
Basic EX.
yeah. Basic EX, yeah.
Yeah,
Milotic,
basic EX.
Milotic stops Terra Pokemon. And then Cornerstone, Ogre Pond stops Pokemon with abilities. And then the Mimikyu stops all EX and Vs. But like,
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like Mimikyu is less just because there's so much Monkey Dory. I think before it was there's so much Dusknoir. Now there's just so much Monkey Dory that the Mimikyu kind of also is. I don't know if it's needed anymore.
That's why you play a one of Heroes Cape as your
Yeah,
ace spec of choice, right? To get a big Mimikyu,
yeah,
170 HP Mimikyu.
yeah. That's fair. So like, look, if you want to play the Mimikyu with the Hero's Cape, and then you play your own Monkey Dory, so all the damage they put onto your Mimikyu, you just sort of put it right back. Um, but I don't know. My personal opinion is that, especially given how popular Joltik Box has become, like I don't I don't know what Joltik Box does if they face this. Do they even? Is there
It's
anything that they
definitely
do?
I need to pull up a list of Joltik
Is it the
box.
Galvantula? Is that the only thing they got going for them?
Let's see. Just looking at the Sevilla list. Um no, because Galvantula has an ability so it can be stopped by Cornerstone Ogerpon.
But I mean, otherwise you
Um
just knock out the Galvantula and say, "Hey, find another one," and they probably can't.
well, no, because Cornerstone Stance stops any Pokemon that has an ability.
Yep,
And so, like, if you have Melodic, right?
yep,
You have Melodic up front, and they try to bring up Galvantula, you just throw up Cornerstone Ogerpon
true.
in their face. And what are they going to do to that? Because Cornerstone Ogerpon will one hit KO Iron Hands if they try to bring up an Iron Hands.
Yeah, and Iron
So
Hands cannot KO you. So,
yeah, Iron Hands can only do 160 to you. Actually, is there resistance? No resistance.
I mean, I don't know. I think that this deck absolutely cooks Joltik Box. Because also you think the Joltik has to come out and then evolve. If you have any damage
Mhm.
on your side of the field, then every turn you just move 3 onto the Joltik and kill it before it can ever even evolve.
It definitely has probably a winning matchup in there, I will
Yeah.
say.
And given the fact that like Dragapult and Gardevoir, I think Gardevoir is probably a pretty bad matchup, I would say. Because between
Mhm.
Screamtail and Drifloon, you can kind of get around anything here. Um, so I could see that maybe being one reason that the deck is not particularly good. So you might need to like really lean on the Farigirafs to just knock out the Gardevoirs straight up.
Mhm.
But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this am I like out on left field here, or do you think the meta has sort of moved to a place where like this deck should maybe be good again?
It I think that just about every single deck just has some sort of response to walls,
Hmm.
but that's only because walls were so prevalent right in the East that I think people have built decks right now with the mindfulness of like, okay, this is my answer to walls. The way that like these wall decks and stuff like that have always been a thing, right, throughout time. They've come up when people have not built their decks around like these kinds of mechanics, these stall or counter mechanics. So once the format like goes away from that, I think that's pretty good. But I mean, if you talk about like Gardevoir, Gardevoir has plenty of answers to
Yeah.
this in a one card called Drifloon. You know, like
Yeah.
these are that guy just blows things up, right? So yeah, I mean Dragapult's probably a little bit more difficult of a time, but um Raging Bold, what is Raging Bold probably can't get by this deck as long as you just put out a Frigoraph.
There's a
You're
baby
probably
there's a baby
oh,
Raging
there's a
Bolt that they're playing now, but it's a one of. So
yeah,
like
it's a one of that they need to spend multiple turns to be able to do damage to the Frigoraph. So
yeah.
who knows? Maybe it does have a good matchup, but this is in mind of like I feel like all the meta decks. Once you start finding like the super niche decks like the Hydragon and
Oh
whatnot,
yeah.
then you're like, or the Blaziken, whatever.
The
And
whatever
you might have a
box.
lot more. Yeah, the
Greninja Blaziken Zoroark box.
yeah, the roulette of just any sort of deck. This you play this when the meta is right. That's why like Iron Thorns was so good at the World Championships, right? And won the World Championships because
Yeah.
nobody expected it and it pretty much countered a lot of what was going on because people were not ready for it in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I what I'd say with this one is if you've been interested in this, I think that at a local level especially, you can
A local
definitely
level, you're gonna get beat up in the parking lot. Like,
No, this isn't
I'm just
Snorlax.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I mean, like I think at a local level, if you like look around and if you notice that not a lot of people at your locals really play Gardevoir, I
Mhm.
think this is worth going for because I look at the rest of the top decks and I'm like, does this beat Dragapult? Probably. It probably beats Dragapult, right?
It's got a pretty good shot. Yeah.
Like, does this beat Joltik Box, the new kid on the block? Probably. Does it beat Goldengo? Probably. If they're not running like Scizor or something, probably beats Goldengo. I just look at
Mhm.
this and I think to myself, you probably beat a lot of the stuff like Raging Bolt, like that day one and day two analysis. This deck beats everything but Gardevoir, and that's not to say that if you just lose to Gardevoir, that's probably not great. But at a local level, man, people don't always run things like Gardevoir at locals, so something to know.
It's gonna be curious to see how the meta evolves, especially after Milwaukee. I think they're just about to talk about Top Cut. I think the
Oh,
final
okay.
Swiss round just ended. I'm trying to quickly find like pairings and rankings, tournament pairings. Round 12. Christian Labella on Raging Bolt is in Top Cut, right? Ian Robb on that Sylveon,
There we
I think,
go.
is in at least asymmetrical Top Cut. Brent Tonneson on Gardevoir is in Top Cut. Ryan Antonucci, oh shoot, what was he playing
He
just
played
now? I
Dragapult.
think he was playing Dragapult. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was just on stream. Ethan Heggie
Oh.
is he's either in the asymmetrical top cut, I think, or just bubbling out. One of
Okay.
the two. Because there's a lot of well, he's the top of the 921s, I think, and I think 912. He's probably not in the asymmetrical top cut, but still 921. Very very good because I know he's putting a lot of time into poker lately.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If you follow his social media. Makani Tran, I think, is in top cut as well. Lucas Zing, Owen Dalgard. Um, yeah, some pretty good players in top cut, I will
Yeah.
say.
A lot of names that if you spend a lot of time on Limitless, you should be familiar with a lot of those names.
Yeah.
So, do you think Brent Tonneson runs it back with Gardevoir?
I think he's got a pretty good shot. Um, Christian Labella did take him down. Christian Labella is the only undefeated player
Oh
through
wow.
top cut, right through the 12 rounds on Raging Bolt.
Okay.
So it's gonna depend. I don't know what Calvin Connor's playing. Um, I don't think I've seen his social media about what he's doing, or I haven't really been able to see. I haven't really been able to see this tournament too much in terms of the
Yeah, I haven't had much of a
in
chance
terms
to
of
watch
the
either.
live stream. I did the commentary for the regional yesterday for One Piece,
Yeah,
so
I saw.
I didn't do any stuff. So
Well,
I didn't do any watching. I was too busy
well,
One Piecing.
those of you who are listening, you will know exactly what happened by the time that this comes out. So definitely comment on YouTube or on Spotify if our prediction of Brent Tonneson running it back was right. Just give us a
Mhm.
little shout. I don't know.
Yeah, you heard it here first, kind of.
well,
We said it
you
first,
heard it
but
here
before,
after the fact, but we said
yeah,
it
yeah,
here
you,
first.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah. Jake, anything else before we go?
No, I think that's it. Excited for the format to continue. I find a lot of things to be interesting, especially with Charizard
Yep.
doing so well in the Champions League. Feel like Charizard, especially with the Dunsparce, is a cool deck. Is a cool deck.
Yeah. I think next week we should have the Destined Rivals set review.
Oh
Probably.
yeah, is that
So
next week? When is that set coming out?
set will come out. Pre-release starts on the 17th of May.
Oh boy,
So
I'm not
just a
going to
couple
be doing
weeks.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing that.
Well, I mean, it might be the only time you can find product, Jake. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not even gonna try to find product.
You
I
know
think it
what?
would be
Valid.
honestly, like if you're balling on a budget and you're a competitive player, you should never buy product. You should just buy singles. But this set is gonna be exemplified. Uh this
Exemplary.
set is gonna be this set is gonna be even more important to be like just buy singles, man. Unless
Yeah.
you have like a local store that's hooking you up for like, maybe a little bit over MSRP because, it's going to be tough to justify MSRP on here. But if you got a store that's good natured and in good hand, like I would not touch this set with the 10-foot pole.
Yeah, fair. Fair. I think we've seen Journey Together. I don't know what the boxes are at now, but I think it came down quite a bit.
Yeah, I think they're under, or no, Japanese boxes are under $100. I don't know about English boxes.
I mean, I do know there was a huge drop off, and I think.
Oh yes, huge drop off. Market price is $213.
Oh well, JK. Maybe I thought.
What? No, I mean huge drop off a couple weeks ago was 265. So
Okay, well it's coming
we
down.
are
Yeah,
seeing.
yeah, a little bit.
Yep,
A little bit.
would not touch this set with the
Okay.
10-foot pole
All right. So
at
everybody
all.
get your 11-foot poles if you want to touch this set.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, that's it, Jake. Sign us off.
This is all for the Metapod podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I'm Jake. That's Sean, and we'll see you later.